All right, we have the Great Mosque at Cordoba for this piece, and I have a lot of pictures here because it's a very important mosque. It actually originally was a temple to the Roman god Janus, and then after the Roman Empire fell, this excuse me, became a church under the Visigoths, a Christian church. And then when the Visigoths were expelled by the Umayyads, it becomes a mosque. And then after that, it once again becomes a church after the expulsion of the Islam dynasty later on. So this is in Spain, what is now known as Spain, and you can see by the map up there kind of how far up the Spanish control was on the Iberian Peninsula. Today, you can visit this mosque. It's about a 2-hour train ride from Madrid, so not too far from the capital. So when the Umayyad dynasty was overthrown in Asia in 750, the survivor of the dynasty was Abd al-Rasham the First, and he fled across North Africa and settled in southern Spain, which became known as El Andalus, and he founded a dynasty of his own. So he basically transplants the Umayyad dynasty to rule southern Spain and placed its capital in Cordoba from 756 to 1031. He tried to replicate the beauty of the city that he fled from, Damascus, and even imported um, plants and trees and orange groves just to make this spot so that it reminds him of his home in the Middle East. So by the end of the 10th century, it had become the largest city in Europe and was an important center of Arabic learning, making important contributions later on to European civilizations. In 785, the Umayyads began building the Cordoba Mosque on the site of that ancient Roman structure. They are going to reuse the columns. So the columns in many parts of this mosque are ancient Roman columns. And this was the first building of significance constructed under this new power in what is now known as Spain. The building of this mosque was the site of a church, and again, we're seeing that symbolism of taking over what was once a church to become now a center of the Islamic faith, replacing the former Christian faith, and again, making this like the culmination of the three religions. This space has expanded multiple times over the years, and it includes a very large courtyard, which you can see from both this aerial map right here and then also from the building plan right here. Um, there's a minaret topped with a domed pavilion, which was one of the first tower minarets of Islam. It was constructed to replace a Christian bell tower that had been pulled down, so they replaced it with the minarets. Later on, 3 domes were added to the bay in from the mihrab, and the central dome is especially unique. It emphasizes geometric logic and decorative detail. And then the mosaics, it's covered in mosaics, and that was executed by the Byzantine craftsmen. So we're seeing a combination of styles. So above the mihrab is that dazzling dome, and it's covered in a gold radial pattern. And also it shows that there's double tiered columns, which I'll show you in a second, that allows for a decorative rhythmic and repetition. And there's also a high roof to make up for short columns, and that allowed for light and air into the hall. Okay, so this is what the outside looks like right here. And then here we can see the dome place. Here's a detail of the dome and an even greater detail of the dome. And then right here we see is the mihrab that is decorated in the mosaics. If we go to this page though, this page is what is kind of unique to Cordoba. Uh, it beginning in 786, during this period, this is where the building expanded over a 200-year period to reach its current site. And the space is it was larger than any Christian church, including St. Peter's in Rome. It's not a home for the gods or for liturgical worship, but this is a place for the faithful to gather to pray, facing Mecca, and emphasize their unity in faith. The Maksura is an enclosure it's in front of the mihrab, and that you could see how it's gated off right here. But you could see the architectural feature of the Maksura over here. And that was done, the enclosure was done because that area was reserved for the ruler and other dignitaries such as the caliph. And these become a feature of congregational mosques, having that gated enclosure after there was an assassination attempt on one of the Umayyad rulers. Another really important feature of the mosques is, first of all, is that horseshoe arch. So this one is the red and the white alternating colors is what you should associate with Cordoba. This picture right here is what you should immediately recognize as the mosque at Cordoba. And then you could see the double columns, with this one being the Roman column, and then we have up here to hit the horseshoe roof, and we also see the double column here on the Maksura. So and then this area, this space right here, also is a hypostyle hall, and the hypostyle hall means that it's filled with columns. This Cordoba has over 1,000 columns. And the prayer hall, it makes it more, it magnifies because of the repeating geometry of the columns. And this was built using recycled columns from the Christian church that was on this site, as well as from older Roman buildings that were there earlier as well. This is not only practical, but it's symbolic. It's showing the new religion replacing the old. The long rows of columns direct the worshippers' attention to the mihrab and the Qibla wall, thus the road facing Mecca. And then these double-tiered arches make the space look much more monumental and large. And then another distinctive feature, as I said before, is that alternating red and white stone used to form the curve of the arch. Let's see. Another thing that is important about this is the horseshoe arch that we're seeing is adapted from the Visigoths, who controlled Spain before, and they even though it was once a Visigoth idea, they're going to use this, and it's going to be seen in a lot of Islamic architecture, which I think I talked about in the background. Another architectural features are these vasiers. Vasiers are kind of like the keystone that we talked about with the arches in the Roman period, but it's just a way of holding up this specific type of horseshoe style arch. So this is a grand mosque. It is a place that I want to go to, and it definitely should be on your list, on your bucket list of places to go.